Hey everyone, my name is Jeremy. Like many of you who are probably here, I am a big fan of the show called Arcane on Netflix. It's based on League of Legends and there is a second season coming out soon, so I thought in celebration of that, why not use some of the fan energy that I have about the show and make a quick video about a couple of scenes that I'm particularly in love with that I believe kind of show a masterclass or signal to us why Arcane is in a different level compared to a lot of shows that are out there. So the scenes I'm going to cover are in the last episode of the first season, so if you haven't seen that, spoiler warning. But without further delay, let's just jump right into it. The first scene is the scene where Sevika and other Undercity leaders come into Silco's office, essentially to dethrone him, right? The cool thing, like this scene is really all about loyalty and power to me, and how the dialogue and the use of props sort of reinforce that. So let's just break down the scene for a minute here. When we come in, Finn is playing around with his lighter, Silco is holding his drink, and Sevika pulls out this chair for Finn and starts dusting it off. So when we're talking about the use of props to symbolize or to talk about or as a proxy for power and loyalty, there's not much more you can do in a couple of seconds to signify who somebody is loyal to and pulling out the chair, dusting it off, right? So immediately this is signaling to us as viewers and Silco as the guy who was previously in charge that, okay, Sevika, who has been my right-hand woman this whole time, by the way, fun little detail, she literally doesn't have a left arm. She's like the right-hand woman for Silco. Anyway, her loyalties are a question here. And at this point, Silco puts down this piece of paper that he's been holding on as he realizes what's going on, right? He looks at Sevika, he's behind her, and he understands that there are folks in the Undercity that have been unhappy with his style of leadership. And so now he's starting to take them seriously. Again, pay attention to the use of the props, right? He's putting it down, okay, you have my attention. He's still holding on to his drink though. Throughout the scene, Finn is essentially reading the death sentence to Silco because he's confident that he's coming into this room and Sevika's loyal to him and that they're going to kill Silco and to shepherd in a new era of leadership for the Undercity. And how the props are used in the scene is quite beautiful. Finn is arrogantly playing with his lighter. Silco's actually ends up drinking the rest of his drink in the scene and puts the prop down, right? He has nothing else in his hand, so to speak, nothing left to play. While this is happening, we see Finn actively starting to burn another symbol of Silco's power, which is his desk here. This prop is actively damaging or eating into this symbol of power for Silco. And then right after that, we see Sevika's blade, let's call this her prop, coming out. So as Silco finishes his drink, Finn is burning his table, Sevika's blade is coming out. So, not only, by the way, is the dialogue so freaking good and are the characters so interesting, let me go on a bit of a tangent here. Here we see Silco not as a one-dimensional bad guy who has complete control over all his goons, right? He's a guy who thinks he's trying to do what's best. And here's Sevika, who also is loyal to the cause, not to the man. And he understands that because she's questioned him in the past. And the beauty of putting all of this together in the scene is that there's so much depth, so many things to chew into. And then here he's pleading a case, he's making a case for loyalty. And he's not really, these Undercity folks might as well not be there. He's not really talking to them. He's talking to Sevika. He's trying to make a case to her about loyalty. Let's take a look at this shot because there's so much to unpack here. So yes, Silco is no longer holding his prop. Finn's lighter is on and is still burning the table. Sevika's blade is out, ready to strike. But then check out the framing here. Silco is literally surrounded left, right, and behind and above by his enemies, right? He is so utterly powerless at this point and he has nothing, no rebuttal, nothing to show for it, no cards left to play. But Sevika's standing over everybody because she's sort of in control, but her blade, check out who her blade is pointed at. It's pointed at Finn. And that's some excellent foreshadowing just a couple seconds later. And of course, we move on, we know what happens. She ends up killing Finn. But before we know that, the first shot that we see is Silco's cup, the prop symbolizing his power in the scene, is cut in half and literally shows him within it as it unravels. in a panic state because he was so unsure. His sort of hold on power was so in question. He did not know what was happening. Nice touch, by the way, contents kind of just spilling out on the table. And of course, Finn is killed by Sevika, and what else besides his neck and jaw is cut other than, of course, the lighter. So in what is that, 2 minutes, right? Like Arcane is taking us through this journey of the dynamics of power, of loyalty, not just through dialogue, not just through interesting characters, not just through beautiful animation, but also through this smart and tasteful use of the props in the scene. And at the end of the day, what's left standing? It's Sevika's blade. Both Silco's symbol for power and Finn's are cut because she's the one really holding the power here, right? Her loyalty decides who rules the Undercity. And at the end of the day, of course, she decides to stick with Silco, and Silco kind of takes that and rides with it. One last detail here, at the very end, Sevika actually picks up Finn's lighter, and as Silco picks up another prop, as he picks up, puts something back in his hands, Sevika pulls up this lighter and lights the cigar for Silco. And again, if we think about the character dynamics at play, right? Yes, Silco's in charge, but he doesn't hold all the power here. His hold on sort of his leadership is dependent on people's loyalty around him. And for Sevika to kind of show this journey throughout the scene of initially looking super loyal to Finn, at the end of this, lighting Silco's symbol for power with Finn's, desecrated lighter, I think is just so beautifully done. This feeds into the other scene that I wanted to talk about, which is right after the conversation with Silco and Jace about this deal. What do we do in filmmaking, or just in general, if you want to make someone seem bigger or like a winner, right? Or that they're literally on top of the world? You put them in much higher in relation to the camera. In this case, Silco is literally standing on top of the camera, right? He is on top of the world. Because here he has everything he asked for from Jace. But the thing that I love so much about this scene is this shot immediately after that, as he talks about why he can't take this deal. The camera is looking directly above him. So he goes from being sort of like on top of the world to this creature that's like lower than Vander's boot, right? So at this point, he is sort of deferring to, like, the power dynamics in this shot is completely reversed from the shot before. Everything we could have ever wanted, the boy didn't even haggle. What do I lose but problems? And then he starts to make the case about why he can't do it. And ultimately, he starts to understand Vander's point of view. So who's in control, who's in power? Vander is, from beyond the grave, or at least we think so. And by the way, who's holding the prop? Who's holding the cigar in this shot, right? I think that's so powerful. He's looking down at him. And that contrast of a character being simultaneously on top of the world and also, his lowest is one of the many reasons why this show is so beautiful. It's this dimensionality with the characters that is reinforced by the cinematography, the angles that they use, the props that they use. It's cool here. He even uses, he pours one out basically, but he's actively giving that to Vander. Not only is he conceding that he understands why Vander may have been doing the way things that he was doing, but then he's, again, the use of props here, he's like, maybe I'm reading too much into this, right? Maybe he's just pouring one out. But to me, if you're looking at it from that perspective, he's like literally giving it to Vander. Conceding, so to speak. And you can see that in the look in his eyes. So anyway, those are two scenes that hold so much detail and artistry in them that we don't see in everywhere that we watch. And it's worth calling out and appreciating the details for, showing appreciation for the creators and channeling our love for the show. So excited for season 2, and I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Let me know if I missed anything fun or crazy, and yeah, have a good one.